I first got Minecraft on the 1.4.5 update, Christmas Day of 2012. Ever since that day, all the way until now, I have been playing Minecraft. Through every single update, through every phase of Minecraft in and out of the mainstream, I was there. It was amazing to see the game change so much over the years, and to see all the fun and weirdness that it entailed. However, one day, a small spark of memory came upon me of a Let's Play of Minecraft from a long, dead, deleted channel. Getting every single block in Minecraft. Ever since then, that idea has stuck with me as a concept that I have never acted upon until now. I made it my quest to make a simple map with a simple challenge. Collect every block and item in Minecraft. The journey to make this map, however, flung me down a rabbit hole of old memories, new discoveries, and a massive appreciation of just how much Minecraft has truly changed. So this video turned from a simple challenge to a mysterious block to an exhibit of all the wonderful weirdness that's contained in the long history of this game. The block that doesn't exist is just the beginning. So, if you'll allow me, let's explore the deep underbelly of Minecraft's developmental past. We'll get to the namesake block of this video and everything else soon, but in order to understand a lot of it, we'll need to go over some basic concepts. Don't worry, I'll be quick. The pre-release development cycles of the game were chock full of weirdness that we'll explore. The development cycles went as such. Pre-Classic, the week-long non-public beginning of the game when it was still known as Mind Game. Classic, the first public release and the first test of the survival game mode. In-Dev, which added many more core gameplay elements we still see today like crafting, tools, mobs, the hunger bar, and more. Inf-Dev, which, as you can guess, gave us Minecraft's infinite worlds as well as many core features. Then the better known cycles of Alpha, Beta, and finally the 1.0 release and beyond. You likely know all the updates after this, which we'll also touch on. Most discoveries in this video will lie in In-Dev, Inf-Dev, and the release areas. Snapshots are experimental versions of the game where Minecrafters can see versions in development before release. Item IDs are numbers and names assigned to blocks in order to denote them in the game's code, and block states are the various different modes a block can be in. For example, a lit and unlit furnace, or the different stages of plant growth. Sorry if you already knew all that information, but I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page here. Now back to this mysterious block. Even though number IDs were phased out in 1.13, I still wanted to use them on my map to give a sense of scale. As I was building this massive tower, however, I noticed something supremely odd. I thought I messed up the order after double checking the first layer of blocks, since I seemed to miss the number 36. But when I checked the ID list, number 36 wasn't there at all. It was completely skipped. Oddly enough, though, this seemed very familiar to me, like an old ghost came back to haunt me. I could have sworn I saw a YouTube video about this exact topic years ago. I searched Minecraft block 36 in the search bar, and to my surprise, there it was. 7 years ago. 58,000 views. The amazing block number 36. It was titled a bit like a magic trick, something truly mysterious and wonderful at the same time. And as I remembered, it didn't disappoint. When in the title of the video I called block 36 the Minecraft block that doesn't exist, I didn't just mean in the ID list. This block truly does not exist. There has been several complicated ways to spawn variants of this block 36 throughout the years, but they've almost always required some external software like MC Edit to add it. When it's in the game, it is entirely invisible other than the hitbox. Any interaction with the block, left or right click, causes it to disappear without a trace. You can't hold it in your inventory whatsoever. However, some things in the game could interact with it. Liquids are stopped by this block, causing mysterious floating pools in the air above you. Pistons could not push this block no matter how hard you tried. Light was dulled but not fully blocked by 36. And weirdest of all, if you put a falling block like sand or gravel above block 36 and dropped it, the sand would never reform back into a block. That sand was falling infinitely still, which allowed you to stack as many as you wanted right inside this mysterious block. Now that's all well and good, but I wanted to know what this thing was. Clearly it had to be something before being removed, so what was it? Well, I looked at the item IDs of every single previous update after 1.0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1.3. Looking at the 1.3 item ID list gives us our answer. Block number 36 is none other than the hitbox of a moving piston head. This makes a lot of sense. What we did was permanently spawn in a hitbox for something that was meant to last less than a second. That's why sand won't place, why light acts weird, why liquid doesn't pass it. After this explanation, I was satisfied with the answer. However, this was only the start of a long-lasting daisy chain of oddness that begins with what Block 36 was classified as in the Minecraft wiki, a technical block. Technical blocks are blocks that are made from or are extensions of other blocks or items. Things such as piston extensions, specific halves of doors, and even plants that are planted with seeds or foods like wheat and potatoes are technical blocks. It's possible to forcibly spawn in technical blocks, such as the growing wheat crop or an extended piston by themselves, but doing so tends to cause some weird issues, as demonstrated previously. These were eventually categorically changed to be part of one block, but some of them, like the door halves, are still spawnable to this day, as demonstrated here. Now you'd think this is the end, unless you decide to check the video length, but some of these blocks are not actually technical blocks. Some of them are evidence of how certain blocks used to be programmed, called changed state blocks. Now, changed state blocks, or at least I coined them that, are blocks that instead of changing modes with NBT tags like they do in modern day Minecraft, they change item IDs entirely. This allowed you to directly spawn in certain block states that wouldn't be like they are. Let's look back at that image. Among these changed state blocks are off redstone torches, potion stands with potions already in, active redstone ore, and lit furnaces. They changed back to normal once used again, but if you didn't bother them, it stayed that way forever. Finally, satisfied for the moment, I returned back to making my Tower of Terror, until, of course, I hit another mystery. Oh, come the fuck on! This. What the hell is this? There isn't even a 1 through 3, there are holes everywhere. This bothered the hell out of me. There are just gaps in the spawn egg IDs. And for the first hour straight of researching, I couldn't find out why. I looked all the way back through every previous version's ID list and found squat. I tried spawning them in older versions and was told that they just straight didn't exist. And I was nearly at the end of my road, until I found a post from October 11th, 2015 from the boss 24611. Entity IDs. If you didn't know, blocks and items are not the only things that have IDs in this game. Mobs and entities share an ID list together. Now, what's an entity? It's a little hard to explain, but according to the official Minecraft wiki, an entity encompasses all dynamic moving objects in the game. So, experience orbs, dropped items, eyes of enders, ender pearls, active TNT, and so on. And funnily enough, all those entities I just mentioned are part of the spawn egg gaps that haunt me at night. Now this list I found has an additional bit of fun. This guy decided to try and force all these entities into eggs and spawners to see what would happen. There are multiple real gaps, not Block 36 gaps, in the entity ID list simply called spawn. These are placeholders for when they want to add mobs and entities into those places. You can actually see a disparity between this list and the current entity ID list since new mobs have filled some of those gaps. Putting these in spawners crashes the game entirely, but putting them in an egg gives you this, an empty spawn egg with a default texture. All my sources will be in the description so you can check out this whole list, but there's an exception to these spawn eggs. There is a mob that cannot be spawned with a spawner or an egg, a mob that has been in the game since alpha but never really existed. These mobs go by the name of giants. Now if you're into the more technical sides of Minecraft, or were just even around at the time this fact was more popular, I'll bet you've heard of giants. On the surface, all giants seem to be are zombies 6 times their regular size. However, I find them to be a bit more interesting. Now, information on giants is surprisingly very difficult to find, as well as often incorrect entirely. However, a saving grace was laid upon me by a channel that is still active to this day. Say hello to Mr. Honeststuffs, the Indian Let's Player. December 10th, 2012 is when this video was uploaded, and it currently sits at less than 5,000 views total. This is a 27-minute video explaining everything Honeststuffs could discover about giants as a mob. I'll be paraphrasing, but if you want some Minecraft ASMR from this Indian Chad, the video is linked in the iCard in the top right. If you just finished that video or just want me to summarize, let's begin. In a way, giants, just like Block 36, do not exist in Minecraft. They were added in the in-dev phase as an experimental mob, but very few work has been done about it since then. However, it's never been removed. In fact, oddly enough, in Snapshot 18W50A for the 1.14 update, they gave the giant several changes that made it resemble that of a real mob. Even weirder though, all of the changes were reverted a month later in the 19W03A snapshot. Other than that, however, really nothing came of the mob before this. And even though they were never removed, that does not mean they're easy to spawn. You can't spawn giants in spawners nor eggs. They can't spawn naturally in any way, in fact, because it needs both a light level below 8 and above 11 to spawn. Now, through Mr. Honeststuff's experimentation, I can bring you some facts about giants. 1. Giants don't burn in sunlight, in contrast to normal zombies. 2. Giants do have basic pathing AI, aka the same pathing AI and aggression old zombies had before it was updated in 1.2. However, unlike other mobs, they do not walk around randomly whatsoever. 3. Giants make no noise when they're hurt. 4. Giants are supposed to do 25 hearts of damage to you, but their hitbox is so large that it completely blocks their ability to hit you, as their attack range is still the size of a regular zombie's. 5. Giants have 50 hearts of health, the same as iron golems. 6. Speaking of iron golems, both iron and snow golems are aggressive towards giants like any other hostile mob. 7. Giants walk at the speed of a normal zombie, making them look very slow in comparison to their size. Similarly, they can only jump 1 block high, just like zombies. And finally, giants drop no items on death. Now, I can't confirm this, but I swear that I remember a version of the game where you could spawn giants with a spawn egg, but I do not remember which one. It had the same texture as the empty spawn egg, but did spawn giants once used. If someone can find me evidence, you can submit it on my Discord linked below. That'd be very much appreciated for my sanity. Also, while you're down there, could you quickly subscribe and possibly use that bell thing that maybe doesn't even work? Much appreciated. Now, after hearing about all these blocks, items, and mobs that were removed sloppily from the game, I was curious, what were some things that were completely removed from the game? Now, if you're here still, I would bet that you've seen a couple videos of this nature before covering old Minecraft blocks, so when a well-known block shows up, I'll just go over it quickly. Firstly, we have infinite water and lava sources. These were added in the in-dev phase of development as a means to fill large pools. They were solid blocks that acted as source blocks as well. However, they were eventually removed because placing 2 next to each other caused major crashes. Their IDs were 52 and 53 respectively, which nowadays are monster spawners and oak stairs. Air was an item you could hold for a single snapshot, snapshot 13W38B. When placed, it disappeared because it's fucking air. This one is better known, but until 1.8 you could craft chainmail armor out of fucking fire. Speaking of armor, during the in-dev phase, there was an armor type called studded armor. It had no actual armor value because it was used as a placeholder during development, and the sprite was from an unfinished game from Notch known as Legend of the Chambered. Lastly for this section, there are 2 features removed from horses. On the snapshot horses were added, snapshot 13W16A, horse saddles were also added, meaning it was originally planned to have 2 separate kinds of saddles in this game. Not only that, but there was a crafting recipe made for each kind of horse armor. However, both of these things straight vanished without a trace, and nobody knows why. Honestly, at this point, I'd believe it if you said horse stables were in this game and got removed for no reason. But as far as I know, there weren't any. But that doesn't mean no structures were ever removed, so let's explore those. During the in-dev phase, several basic structures were added in order to test some things. Firstly, there used to be massive 64x64 brick pyramids that spawned over 10,000 blocks out and beyond. They had no rooms or anything, they were just absolutely massive, ugly pyramids of brick. Similarly, during the in-dev phase, you used to spawn inside of a house that surrounded your spawn point, unlike being plopped in like we have nowadays. Honestly, it might have been a bit nice, you know? In InfDev, haven't heard that one for a bit, there used to be crosses made of obsidian that were used to denote the cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west before F3 to check direction was a thing. And finally, the last structure is both well-known and unintentional. The Farlands are what happens when terrain generation meets Stack Overflow. Due to a floating point error and several other things, terrain generation past a certain point meant completely bonkers terrain and weird physics. However, there's so much more to it that I can't really get into it in this video. So I'll link AntVenom's video in the iCard in the top right and the description. Go watch those and come back if you're interested. Otherwise, let's move to old mobs. Now, one thing you may find surprising is that almost no mobs have ever been removed from this game. The most well-known removed mobs make up 4 out of 5 of those. Those 4 being Beast Boy, Rana, Steve, and Black Steve. Yeah, these were in the in-dev phase and had basic animations. They looked like pop figurines and fucking Black Steve. The only one I might say is lesser known is that humans used to be in this game. Or rather, Steve used to be a mob. These were only in the classic phase, had a weird-ass walking animation, and could be spawned by pressing G. Monsters were a mob with the exact same model, but were hostile towards you and had basic melee combat. Now, up to this point, if you were some kind of Minecraft trivia master, you'd probably have heard of most of these, but this one I haven't even heard of until now. Isometric screenshots used to be in the game. You used to be able to snap a picture just like those with many settings by simply pressing F7. The only issue is, rendering in Minecraft has always had its troubles, and as such, it was a very buggy feature. So, after the in-dev phase, it was eventually removed. Now, we're beginning to wind down from here, looking at miscellaneous bits and scraps, then I'll get to my map. Let's keep going. Now, very quickly, I'll get through the 3 blocks and items that you've probably already known about. Cogs were a block that was added in InDev and removed in InfDev, and even though they were in it for longer than most of these blocks and features, it was never actually given a feature, just an animation. Oh well, we got redstone later. Crying Obsidian was in the game for a short while, in Beta 1.3, then removed in Beta 1.5, and was going to be used for an obelisk meant to change spawn points, but then they just decided to go with beds. Finally, a quiver was meant to be added in the game a couple times now, but was never done. We did get a texture though, from The Legend of the Chambered again. Alright, now we have a couple more scraps that are less known. A texture for chairs were placed in the game, and Notch mentioned something of chairs in his blog he had at the time, but nothing beyond that came of it. Pigmen were originally supposed to be used as villagers, which would make zombie pigmen make a bit more sense, but they were replaced with the villagers we know today. Speaking of villagers, wanna see something fucked up? This was in the textures for a while. Yeah. Supposedly some type of hybrid was meant to be added, which kinda confirms that villagers and players are 2 different species, Mr. MatPat Game Theory, but was eventually removed with the texture pack reform in 1.5. A tutorial was planned for the game in alpha. There was a play tutorial button that did nothing back in alpha 1.2.2 and was removed soon after. Imagine how much mystery and wonder of the game would have been removed for kids if you had a tutorial level. I'm actually glad that this was never implemented. And lastly, before we head into the map, there are 29 various unused potions that were going to function similar to how auction? That were going to function similar to how awkward potions work. Among these were fancy, bulky, stinky, blinky, inky, pinky, and some of those might not be true, but who cares, they're gone anyways. Let's get into the map. The map is pure and simple. It's a survival world, with the only change being this massive tower. This massive tower contains a physical slot for every single available block and item in Minecraft, and any others that aren't obtainable are already placed. There are rules on the walls. The goal is just as simple, to collect every block and item, I don't care how. This is an open-ended question, and you have the power to make it whatever you want. Just don't try and cheat it, pretty please. The link is in the description with everything else. With that out of the way, we're finished for now. This video was a much larger undertaking than I thought it would be. This is a 7-page script compared to my normal 2.5, but I found just so much interesting stuff that I had to fit it into one video. In fact, I was gonna do Easter eggs too, but there was just so many Easter eggs that the video could be its own shorter thing if you guys wanted. In the end, Minecraft is a game that lives within the hearts and minds of so many kids and teenagers alike. It helped form our childhoods and gave us an outlet where our only real limitations turned out to be our own imagination. And even though it's great to look at what the game is today, I think it's just as important to look back at its humble beginnings. A game where all you could ever do is mine and craft. Thank you all for watching, as always, and have a great day.